So the surgery was to reattach that tendon back to bone.
And we're ready for the pain.
Blow it up. To gradually gain his motion and try not to get too much muscle atrophy.
42.
In today's What Went Wrong segment, we are going to break down, analyze, and take a deep dive into the Triple H quad injury from the May 21st, 2001 episode of Monday Night Raw. This match involved obviously Triple H, Chris Jericho, Chris Benoit, and also Stone Cold Steve Austin. Let's go right to the smart board. You can see right here, Jericho has Steve Austin in the walls of Jericho. Hunter is back here about to make the save and hit Jericho from behind so Jericho can roll forward out of the ring, and then Austin's legs will go flat. It's usually a pretty easy breakup spot, interference spot, but in this case, and I got it wrong when I first saw this back in 2001, and when I watched this previous to recording this, I thought that he'd injured the other leg. We're going to take a look at that because it's really weird. Everything here, if you told me what was the injury or asked me, I would say, oh, it's obviously this leg, ankle, knee, and you'll see what I mean when I do this. He comes in, safely hits Chris. By the way, it can't be overstated enough. Watch what Hunter does because Chris is not looking at him. Hunter gives him sort of a cue with this forearm to let him know I'm going to hit you, or even pushing him in that direction as he hits him. Watch. Forearm and then the hit. So literally what got Chris to move is that forearm, and then Hunter hits him. So it's a really nice little Easter egg. Once again, within the what went wrong, there is a what went right. This here, instead of taking someone's head off with that forearm when they're not expecting it, he's giving what we call the Iggy with the opposite and literally pushing him with that forearm. And then it's literally like we call it glomming. He's not hitting him full. He's just kind of pushing him and hitting him. So that's really awesome right there. Left forearm, push. Chris knows it's coming. And then a safe, it's more he hit him with the left and the right. And you could see the clubbing action over his own hand, and the elbow and forearm is not at Chris's head, but in the upper back. Very, very safe so he doesn't get any kind of whiplash or concussion. So he's just such a pro at protecting his opponent. And here's the part here where I got it completely wrong when I was watching it back, and especially that night. Watch here as we focus. Now, I want you to guess. Where do you think the injury occurred? Which leg? You would guess, without knowing this is a quad injury, I would guess right here, broken ankle, blown out knee, Achilles rupture, all of the above on this leg right here. But no, he tore the quad on that leg. Really strange because the other leg, it's in such an ugly position. So he could have tore his quad on this leg, broke his ankle, tore the Achilles, and blew that knee out, and maybe even blew the other knee out. So 2 blown knees and all that stuff. And of course, it's not a consolation prize. Tearing a quad is no joke. But watch this. Goes down, and here he is. Literally now it's starting. There's an initial shock, burning, almost like an explosion in your leg. And now Hunter is grabbing that leg right there, which is the leg I would not have guessed that he tore. But let's go here, and you can see right here, they focus right there on this quad. Right there. And I have to see, is there a part that looks like it doesn't look like it even tears here. It's really weird. So Hunter with right there, it might look like something here. Hunter with a torn quad still has a bigger quad than me. So there you go right there. And just goes down. So I would have guessed, see even back here, even outside the spotlight, this looks uglier than this. So just strange. Real injuries, real violence are always just weirder than stuff that's over the top looking like this. So there it is. And I got to give Hunter credit, repeated credit. This was not throwing up the X or anything like that. Hunter continued the match. Hunter finished the match. And then, as we're looking once again right here, it's just such a crazy injury. And for Hunter to still, after this, try to get off the apron and walk and leave the arena on his own power, that's a super tough dude. This here, like I said, I would have never guessed. I would have thought it was this right here, or the knee or the quad there, but it's this part, the quad right there, which it is a knees over toe situation where the knee is over the toe. And I would still assume you're blowing your knee out with that. The quad injury, just a freak injury with this. But I have to give him credit, finishing the match with this right here and be able to do that. And Chris Jericho also on the Chris Van Vliet show, friend of the show, or close friend of the show. Chris is awesome. Check out that interview where he talks about Hunter finishing the match. He talks about the quad injury. Just such a freak thing. It just shows that this stuff is not ballet. This is not easy, and anything and everything can go wrong. Even the stuff that looks very minor can lead to a quad tear. And of course, Hunter made his return months later at Madison Square Garden, more over than ever. They documented his road to recovery, and he came back more over than ever. Would he wanted to do that, on the result of a quad injury? No, I don't think we will. But they made the most out of it, and Hunter came back an even bigger star than he left. So, you can say what you want. I've said things about the Triple H era, the personal feelings about whatever, but I will give this dude credit, and credit where credit is due. He's one of the toughest guys out there doing it. This here proves it. There's more injuries that he's finished the match, that old school way of thinking, which might not be the smartest, most common sense way of thinking, but he's definitely an old school pro. When it comes to that, definitely this is a Killer Kowalski wrestling school, finished the match, edict, and he still sticks with that. Probably to today, if he was going to work matches, definitely a very old school guy. And glad he made a full recovery from this, and he could go on to become one of the biggest stars in WWE.